I've come to understand in my life that we live on a planet and there are 4 elements that offers life to us. That's air, fire, water, and earth. These 4 elements are unconditionally, constantly giving themselves. And so I've come to realize and understand that if I want to feel whole, if I want to feel that my life is filled with purpose and meaning, and it feels honorable, then I know that I must give of myself just like the elements do, because that's what I am. When I was in my teens and up until around my mid-20s, what defined me was my physical attributes.
I've been modeling for about a year now in New York, and just recently started to get into commercials and acting and stuff.
That's what it was all about for me. That's how I got my work. I became a model. My workout videos, people wanted to see my face and they wanted to see my body, and I did everything that I could to make it all look pretty and nice for the viewer. But I was obviously driven by ego.
I was enjoying my life. I had great friends. I was in New York City, modeling, commercials, in the club scene, rollerblading, skating, surfing in the summers. But fame brought this whole new element to it that is not so easy to navigate.
The 90s for me were dangerous, and there was a lot of celebrities at that time in the 90s that we saw lose their lives from drugs, like Chris Farley and River Phoenix.
It's 7:33 now. An autopsy later today will determine the exact cause of death of one of Hollywood's rising stars, River Phoenix. Today's New York Daily News quotes a paramedic who said that the actor collapsed with all of the signs of a cocaine reaction.
From day to day, you have the things that rub you the wrong way, that rhymes, notice that, and you deal with them, and once you do, then you begin, that rhyme too, to make things better. Hey Jude.
River Phoenix was 23.
It's challenging navigating through the entertainment business and that world. And those guys obviously didn't have the tools. And I'm grateful for the people that came into my life, like Grand Master, who shared his wisdom with me to assist me in breaking free from that destructive path.
And so one day I was at a party, a late night party, went all night long, burning the candle on both ends. I was at rock bottom. I went through this incredibly traumatic experience, and I was manipulated, controlled, and abused and taken advantage of, and had $250,000 stolen from me, and my car and my career and like everything. And that was my first consideration with suicide.
I think I was probably around 25 or 26 when I met Grand Master for the first time.
This was an 8th generation Chinese medicine Grand Master, 21 Den black belt, 3 different martial arts, Grand Master of the sword, Grand Master of the I Ching and Feng Shui and Buddhism, and Far East Grand Master, whose mom was the queen of the mountain people in Vietnam.
There's the story of him doing a vibrational reading on me and checking my blood and my health.
I didn't tell him anything about me. He goes, "You put a lot of drugs into your body, yeah?" And I was like, yeah.
And he said to me, your blood is like mud. And if you continue down this path that you're on, you're going to develop a blood clot and you're going to die.
I said to him, can you train me? Can you make me as powerful as I can be and heal me? And then I asked him like a question like, how did they build the pyramids or something like that? Right. And so he goes, here, you go home with these herbs. When you're finished, if you want me to train you, don't call, just show up.
So that catapulted me into a life of rehabilitation, detoxing, transformation, healing. And I really wanted to understand why I was making these choices in my life that was causing harm to myself. And I realized I didn't love myself. I didn't love myself enough to make the healthy choices in my life.
Knowing what you know now, and you had a chance to go back and talk to 18-year-old Eric.
Yeah.
Would you tell yourself anything different?
That's a great question. And I wouldn't. It happened exactly the way that it was all supposed to happen. And the reason why I can say that is because if those things didn't happen to me in my life, I wouldn't have experienced this incredible healing path to self-discovery.
The challenge for today for healers or for people that choose a life to assist other people in their own healing is that thousands of years ago, people were just naturally connected to nature. They were naturally connected to themselves because we are the four elements. So when you have this profound union and connection with nature, you just naturally have a connection with yourself. But because we're living in this modern world of technology and buildings and cars and all of these distractions from nature, we go into these beautiful places in nature and then we put up these big buildings and we drive cars and technology and we stop up rivers and we put dams up and pollute the water and pollute the ocean with all of these materialistic things. So when we pollute and we do all of these things in nature, we're doing it to ourselves. And so we're disconnected from who we really are, what we are. And so that's the challenge. The challenge is taking somebody outside of the modern world and bringing them into nature so they can reconnect with themselves through nature. That's the whole point. And that's what the indigenous people know, because they have a honorable relationship and communion with nature and the medicines of the earth. So when we participate in an ayahuasca ceremony, we go into a structure that's called a maloca. It's like a thatched roof space where at least 30 or 35 people can all be inside of the maloca together. The reason why we do it inside of that space is because the maestros and the shamans, they hold that space for us. So when they drink the ayahuasca, their vision opens up and they can see everything that's happening inside that room, and they can control the energy in the room. So if there's really dark spirits that are in the room attacking people, which happens in ceremonies, the maestros can see it, and then they can, they can light their tobacco or blow tobacco on them, or flower water with different flower essences in it. The darker spirits don't like that. So we're all in the maloca space, and then one by one everybody goes up to drink their medicine, and you sit in front of the maestro and he serves the medicine to you, and then you go back to your seat. And then once the ayahuasca takes effect, it can come on really strong or it could come on really subtle. It all depends on where you're at along your journey and what you're ready for. In my case, because of the traumas in my life and the path that I've been on, and going back into my past lives to purify and cleanse my soul's journey, and clear the programs from my lineage. I tend to shake a lot, literally like for hours, and so I just thought, oh, this is just a part of the process. It got to the point at times where I was literally laughing and saying, like, really? Like, how long are we going to do this for? You know, having a conversation with grandmother Ayahuasca. And then one day I was talking to the maestro, and I asked him, I said, you know, my body shakes a lot. Why is it shaking so much? And he says, he goes, you smoke a lot of marijuana, yeah? And I was like, no, I haven't smoked marijuana in like 15 years or however long it had been. And he said, yeah, but you smoke a lot before, right? And I said, yeah. And he said to me, she doesn't want to leave you. The spirit of marijuana, she didn't want to leave my body, because what happens is we build a relationship with not the drug, we build a relationship with the spirit of that plant. And all drugs, they all come from a plant. You know, so what type of relationship are you building with the spirit of that plant? And so marijuana is a master plant teacher, and you can invoke her for healing, but you can also invoke her to suppress, to hold things down. And that's how I was using her many, many, many years ago. So every time that I drank ayahuasca, the spirit of ayahuasca and the spirit of the marijuana would fight in my body, and that fighting would be my body shaking. It's not easy for me to explain how I feel. It's not easy to find the right words to express the feelings that I'm having in my body. When I see my loved ones and my friends light up, when I see the light return into their bodies, when I see their lights, the lights go on in their eyes of their souls. Because I've suffered. I know what it feels like to suffer. I know what it feels like to be standing on the edge of a cliff with a knife on your wrist ready to take your life because you feel like you have no way out. There's no hope. There's no answers. To feel hopeless. You know, I've been there, so I understand.
As early as I can remember, I had a great experience at my mom's house. It was always fun and loving and comfortable, and I was able to express myself the way I wanted to and just be who I was. But it was the complete opposite at my dad's house. It felt like he didn't love me or cared about me or wanted anything to do with me. I would come home from his house and just freak out and like have these tantrums, and I didn't know why. I just hated myself. I hated everything about myself. I developed extreme OCD when I was around 8 years old. But before that, I would literally just like beat myself up. Like I would have all of this anger and like energy in me, and I feel like I just didn't know what to do with it, so I would take it out on myself to the point where I'd be like punching myself in the head and my nose would start bleeding, or I would have scratches on me, and like I would just beat the shit out of myself because I didn't know what to do. In therapy, we talked about what was going on with my dad because I was seeing him, and then once I stopped seeing him, it was more about my everyday life and how my struggles were. So we weren't talking about like, oh, how did it make you feel when you were locked in that closet? Or why do you think your dad put you in the closet? And like all those things. Like, it was never like that. It was like, oh, today I have so much anxiety because I have to do A, B, and C. And now I have anxiety and I don't know how to deal with it. And then they would say, well, did you try breathing? Like, they focus on your breath. Maybe try a new hobby. We should put you on medication. Just temporary fixes that either lasted 0.5 seconds and then I wanted to kill everyone in sight because it didn't work, or didn't work at all. So I didn't want to try anymore. I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't have any interest or passion or anything that was gonna save me anymore. I had this dream, or I have this dream of becoming a singer, but at that time it wasn't enough to motivate me to stay and be alive. So I kind of got to this place of like, I'm trying one more time, and if it doesn't work, I give up. And that's kind of where Uncle Eric came into the picture.
I've known Max her whole life, and I've watched her go through extraordinary amounts of suffering. Suffering to the point where she was ready to take her life. And I watched the life be drained out of her.
I was just miserable. And Uncle Eric came up to me and was like, do you want to do a mushroom journey? And every time he's ever said that to me or mentioned ayahuasca or mushrooms, I was always like, no way. Like, I've never drank. I don't do any drugs unless I'm prescribed to take them for anxiety or depression. But for some reason, I was just like, whatever. I can't feel worse than I do now. So I agreed to it. And in my mind, I said, please show me what this is. Why do I feel this way about myself? Why can't I stand the feeling of anything being in my stomach? Why does it feel like when there is something in my stomach, I have maggots crawling in my skin? And I heard this voice say, are you sure you want to see this? And I was like, yeah, been asking for it this whole time, show me. And they were like, okay. A second later, the next thing I knew, I had a memory of myself tied to a bed being raped, and I was in shock. Like, I had no idea that was going on in my life. I had no idea. I hid it from myself. And it was just in front of me for 19 years, and finally the puzzle was put together. And Uncle Eric really showed me that I could trust him, and with being able to trust him, I was able to accept the healing that he was putting me through.
So now I see a whole new Max. I see a girl that is hopeful, and I'm so inspired by her strength, by her courage. This little teeny tiny little girl has a spirit in her that can move mountains.
Yeah, I still have my days, but I'm in a crazy better place than I was. I feel healthier, I feel happier, I feel stronger, I feel more energetic, I feel more capable, I feel more passionate.
Your uncle's here in front of you right now. Is there anything you'd like to say?
Well, I would be dead without you, 1,000%, because that was my plan. I didn't want to be here anymore, so you've saved my life completely. Every single day of my life I think about that you are such a special person and you have a gift.
What defines me now is the journey of my soul, past, present, and future. What defines me now is the present moment, who I choose to be in this moment, how I choose to feel. I choose to feel the way that I feel by the choices that I make in my life. What defines me now is the master within myself that I choose to acknowledge, engage with, and become. And this is my gift back to my father and my mother that gave me life. That's why I walk this path, to give back.